About 26 years ago, my grandfather started telling me stories. And each of these stories held symbolism that I had no idea was there until recently when I started going through this whole process. Started paying attention to some of the things he said, and I was like, oh my God, this story lines up with the chakras. So a long time ago, there were no people here. The birds of the earth spoke to each other in a language. At this time, they couldn't sing. But every morning, when the clouds were down on the ground, creating that fog, that morning mist, the birds would hear this beautiful noise, just this beautiful song. They always wondered what it was. What could that possibly be? Well, one morning, the mockingbird was sitting there listening to the sounds. And as the mist started to drift away, he heard the sound rising up with the mist, and he thought to himself, the song is coming from the clouds. We have to learn these songs. These songs are awesome. So he got together all the birds, and they started talking about it. They had a little meeting for their tribe back then, and they're like, we got to try to find a way to get these songs from the clouds. So first, the finch, he says, all right, you know what? Let me try this. I can do it. I'm going to fly up there, and I'm going to get these songs. So he flies up. He only gets about the top of the tree up there. Comes back down. He's like, man, I'm just too tired. Next, the sparrow comes, and he says, okay, little finch, I got this, watch. So he takes off, starts flying around in circles, ever rising, and he gets over the top of the canopy, and he can see the whole forest. And he's like, man, I just can't make it, so flies back down. Next, the dove, he goes, I can do that. So he takes off, man. He flies way above the trees. He gets so much higher than the finch and the sparrow. He makes it to the top of the big hill. And he says, geez, I just can't do this. He also comes right back down. So next is the raven's turn. Boy, he's a big, strong black bird. He said, I can do this. I can beat all you guys. So he flies up over the tree, over the canopy, up to the hill. He's like, man, I'm doing so much better than that pigeon. He gets over the top of the hill, and he starts climbing up the mountain. Man, he gets halfway up that mountain, and his wings just give up on him. He just can't make it. So he floats back down and lands with everybody else. So the only two birds left at this point is the eagle and the mockingbird. Well, the mockingbird was missing. Nobody could figure out where he was. So the eagle says, okay, I can do this. I can fly up there, and I'll bring back those songs for everybody, and I'll be the boss. I'll be in charge, because I'll be the song bringer. So the big, strong eagle, he takes off. Man, he's just killing it. He's flying so hard. His big, strong muscles up past the trees, up past the hill, up to the mountain, over the top of the mountain. He starts catching up drafts. He starts flying around. He gets up there, and man, he is nearly to those clouds when he gives up, and he starts to come back down. And just as he does that, just as he's about to come back down, the mockingbird leaps from his feathers. He was hiding right there. So the mockingbird leaps and flies up into the clouds. And for the rest of that day, he flew around listening to all the songs that the clouds had to offer. And when he finally came back down, the mockingbird went to each new type of bird, to each different type of bird, and he said, I'm going to teach you one song, and you one song, and you one song. So he taught them, and that's why, even to this day, the mockingbird knows all of the songs, but each bird forgot their language and only knew the song that they were taught. So sometimes when you hear a bird replicating all the other birds, it's just the mockingbird reminding everybody about what their song is. So how does this relate to the chakra system? If you think about it, the finch represented the root chakra. He was too low. He stayed there. He couldn't make it up. to the clouds, okay? Imagine that the clouds in this represent the crown chakra. The clouds are the consciousness. So each bird trying its hardest to make it to the clouds is a representation of our ascent up the chakra system, starting from the root, going all the way up to the crown. The eagle would be here the third eye, and the mockingbird reached the crown. And when he reached the crown, he soaked up all the knowledge, he got all that consciousness, and he brought it back down. And that's what I want to teach people, is you can't aim for enlightenment unless when you reach it, you plan to give it to everybody. So do like the mockingbird did. When you reach that level of consciousness, bring it back down for the rest of us.